Hello, dear Professor Amer. Very happy to see you, welcome you with us. Please tell us a little bit about the situation at the fence last Friday.
Yes, last Friday was the 41st Friday of the Great March of Return. It was titled Resisting Normalization. The normalization process, which is done by some Arab countries towards Israel. We are still under occupation, and our Israeli enemies still occupying the whole Palestine. They impose strict siege on Gaza, and we are deprived from all our rights here in Gaza, the West Bank, and all areas of Palestine. So we haven't received or restored anything from our rights. Despite this, we have some people from the Arab countries and maybe from the international countries like Brazil and other areas, other states who just normalize their relations with our Israeli enemies. We still have the same problem. We haven't have any solution done towards just improving our life or restoring our rights. So for the Arabs, Jerusalem is still under occupation. Our holy shrine, Al-Aqsa Mosque, is under occupation. And, the West Bank and Gaza are still under occupation. We haven't received anything. And despite this problem, this agony, we have some Arab countries, mainly the Gulf countries, have steps towards normalizing their relations with the Israeli entity. So this is why our people in Gaza gathered to the eastern part of the Gaza Strip, close to the apartheid fence, mainly 500 meters far from the fence, calling for, shouting just slogans and chanting, calling for the Arab countries to stop this step towards normalizing their relations with the Israelis, and reminding the international community we are still under siege and we are deprived of our simplest rights.
Very well.
This is what happened just in the area. Yeah, and despite this, we have the Israelis, while our protesters were protesting and chanting very peacefully, they directed their weapons, mainly the Israeli snipers, directed their weapons towards us. They just wounded 23 Palestinian protesters. They are very peaceful and very innocent. They were wounded, and we had 100 people who were suffocated from the tear gas bombs which were directed or shot to our protesters, who were very innocently protesting very far from the fence.
Yeah, very interesting. You told me 500 meters away from the fence, and still the Israelis are using tear gas and snipers. That seems to be against any kind of, official declaration from the Israeli army.
It seems that everything is done by the direction of the Israeli leaders. They are all together, they are criminals, they commit crimes against Palestinian people, and these crimes reach the level of crimes against humanity. They commit massacres, killing every day against our Palestinian people everywhere, either in Gaza or in the West Bank.
Yeah. Do you want to say that these 23 people who were wounded by the Zionist snipers, were they standing 500 meters away from the fence?
That's true, yes. They are very far from the fence, and despite this, they deliberately shot at them and wounded 23 of them.
How is the treatment in the hospitals? Has the situation in the hospitals improved a little bit or just nothing?
I think that the situation is very deteriorated. We have lack of medication. We don't have enough medicine because of the siege which is imposed on Gaza. Even the fuel is very, very little, and this prevents the hospitals from just generating or running their electric generators for just running their theaters for making operations for the wounded. we are in real crisis, we are in real agony, and this agony is resulted from the criminal policy of the Israelis who impose the siege.
This is, to me, a little, surprising, because we had the New York Times just before Christmas writing a huge article on the killing of Razan Al-Najjar, the young lady who was a young medic and who was killed close to the fence.
Yes.
But these youngsters at that time, and the New York Times was showing the films and the handy movies and things like that. So they were showing that the young people were directly at the fence. They were tearing parts off this fence, and then they were shot with tear gas. And now you tell me it's 500 yards away. The New York Times has very severely criticized Israel because of its policies at the fence and the shooting and the deliberate shooting into groups without taking aim. They're just hitting people. And even if those people are very openly not aggressive, they are still being hit by the snipers. So this was the criticism by the New York Times. And the result is that this last Friday, they were much tougher than before, I think.
I think, yes. This is very surprising. We expected them to be quiet this time because we are very far from the fence. And despite this, we have the Israeli criminals, the Israeli snipers, shot deliberately at the peaceful people. We have five of the wounded people are medics.
Five of the wounded people are medics?
Yes, they are medics, yes.
Oh my God.
And we have two journalists as well.
And they were openly, as they usually do, they have vests and special garment to show they're medics or they're journalists, right?
Yeah, that's true, yes.
Yeah. Dear Professor Amer, we come to our second question today, which is: security and justice guarantees to Jews by Palestinians face limitations in the present situation. What limitations or problems do you see, and why?
Yes, we are still under siege, we are still under occupation, and our life is very deteriorated. Our economy is completely devastated, and we don't have any hope. Our people here are very pessimistic because the Israelis impose change our life to complete hell. We don't have any feeling of peace in Gaza, in the West Bank, or in Palestine. The reason of this is the atrocities, or are the atrocities directed by the Israelis towards us. They are occupying power, and how could we just give them guarantees for security, for justice, for peace? And we are still under occupation. First of all, they have to lift the siege and end their occupation, and then we can negotiate and see. And what about the war criminals who just commit crimes against us, we Palestinians, during the last 6 wars directed against us? We were subjected to several massacres, several holocausts done by the Israelis. So what about these war criminals? What will happen to them in future? They must be facing the doom of Milosevic, who was trialed by the International Criminal Court. Those criminal Israelis must be summoned to this International Criminal Court to have their sentences, to have their punishment for the crimes committed against humanity. But for the innocent people who live in Palestine at the time of Ottoman Empire, these are Palestinian citizens. We respect them. We don't fight or resist the Jews as Jews. We only fight the Zionist Jews who occupy our land. So we have citizens, we have Jewish citizens who used to live with us in Palestine before occupation, before 1948, mainly at the time of the Ottoman Empire. So those people are highly respected, and we welcome them to live with us as usual. But those settlers who came from abroad, for the purpose of occupying our land are not tolerated. They must leave our land as they came. They must come back to their home countries, which they came from. But for the rest of the Jews, they are very welcome. We speak about Palestinian Jews.
Correct. Yes. That means of course, we understand, as we had in the past, that it is completely crazy, in fact, under the situation which you correctly describe, of the terrible and murderous oppression by the Zionists. It is crazy to think about something like a security guarantee or a legal guarantee to Jews living under Palestinian rule. Still, of course, we are talking about the future. There must be, to my best understanding, there must be a good future for the Palestinian people to truly rule their own land. And that means, to me, and certainly to you as well, with zero interference by Zionists. So, of course, we have to have a withdrawal from by the Israeli army. We have to have withdrawal from police and all the oppression and daily killing going on. So
certainly, if they stop their massacres, their killings, their occupation, then we can think about this.
Yeah, it is very good. And the suggestion I made in this case was that we think now, while the killing is still ongoing. Why?
Yeah.
Because one of the main arguments of these Zionists is, as we spoke among each other, you and I, before recording it, of course the main reason for the Zionists in their propaganda is that these Palestinians are all killers. And if the Zionists do not oppress the Palestinians, they will come to stab them in their beds at night. Yeah. So this is their propaganda story.
These are fabrications done by the Israelis.
Exactly.
They have their propaganda machines, which spread only their fabrications and their lies. We are just people. We are humanitarian people. We are highly civilized. We are educated, highly educated. Most of the Palestinian people are highly educated people. Yeah. We respect others on the basis of humanitarian rules or basis. So we understand everything, and we know that the Israelis change everything upside down to their own interests. So they deceive the international community by their fabrications, which are completely false.
Yes, exactly.
Against Palestinians.
So this is the situation, and in this crazy propaganda situation, with our big mass media in the world just repeating these stupid ideas, in this case, the only way to destroy the Israeli propaganda is to give a very, brazen, very courageous sign that the Palestinian people are more civilized, in fact, than the Zionists. And that means that they openly declare, if we have to rule, we will never oppress any other religions, for example, the Jews, the way you have done with us in the past. So this kind of declaration would help the world to push the Zionists back out of Palestine. That would be a very good background, because the main argument of the Zionist propaganda will die.
Okay, I told you previously in the previous interview that we Palestinians, if we liberate our country and we restore our rights, and all people under the Palestinian rule will live in justice and in equal footing, regardless their races and their religions.
Exactly.
Including the Jews. We mean the Palestinian Jews who used to live among us just at the time of Ottoman Empire, the Palestinian nationals, from the Jews. They are most welcome if they don't commit any crime against our people during their history of conflict with us.
Thank you very much, Professor Amer. Dear Professor Amer, there is this situation that, in fact, inside the Palestinian state, recognized by 137 countries around the globe, out of 193, I understand. That in this situation, the Zionist army is killing people, the police is imprisoning people, all unjustly, there's torturing, there's all kinds, and you very correctly said that is hell. The Zionists are making hell to us Palestinians in the present situation. And of course, you have all these illegal settlers who, in fact, as the German scientist Dr. Petra Wild put it, do something like settler colonization of Palestine. That is, in fact, their work. They want to make a Zionist colony out of Palestine.
Yeah, that's completely true, yeah.
And they have very far advanced in this. So in this crazy situation, it is to the idea of making clear to the people that the Zionist propaganda has lied to the whole world in telling wrong things about the Palestinians. In fact, they are accusing the Palestinians of what they do themselves. They're accusing the Palestinians that they are killers, that the Jews are threatened by the Palestinians, and that the Zionists are only defending themselves.
Yes.
The opposite is true. It's just the other way around. The Zionists are daily killing and oppressing the Palestinians, and the Palestinians are in the defending role.
Are victimized, yes.
Yes. So in this situation, how can we convince other people, other countries, Western people, mainly innocent, disinformed by our media, how can we convince them that the Zionist propaganda is utterly wrong, that facts are the other way around? And for this end, I have voiced the idea to some Palestinian organizations that how about, putting openly forward a vision of a future Palestine under full Palestinian rule with zero Zionist interference, where those remaining legal Jewish settlers could enjoy complete security and full legal equal status and not be in danger at all, as it was in the past before the Zionist idea came forward in Palestine, more than 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So that is, to your opinion, how would that be in this crazy, in fact, perverted situation, put forward such an idea?
Okay, first of all, I would like to set it very clearly that we are victims and the Israelis are victimizers. They commit different or various crimes against us, various massacres and even holocausts committed against the Palestinians either in Gaza or the West Bank or the interior Palestine occupied in 1948. They committed their crimes. They just killed nearly 100,000 people just in 1948 ethnic cleansing war and expelled the 2/3 of Palestinian people outside their countries to live just in the neighboring Arab countries and in diaspora. This is a crime against humanity committed against our Palestinian people, and their crimes continued up till now a moment. We have the Israelis commit murders, destroying houses, devastating our economy, imposing sanctions and very strict siege on Gaza. They prevent even medicines to come to the hospitals. They prevent milk to come to the children, the Palestinian children here in Gaza. The Israelis are very successful in spreading their lies and fabrications to the international community through their media machines. So we need the international community and the European states to wake up and understand who is the victim and who is the victimizers. Once we liberate our country and we get back our dignity and our rule once again, I am sure we will not deprive anyone from his right to live with us. We Palestinians are ready to live with all races in Palestine in equal footing without just committing the same policy committed by the occupiers, the Israeli occupiers. We are peaceful people. We love freedom, and we are eager to live in justice and freedom completely with all races living in Palestine, including the Jews. But we speak about the Jews who do not commit any crime against the Palestinian people. But those who are war criminals who committed lots of massacres and lots of crimes against our innocent people must be sentenced by the international courts, mainly the International Criminal Court, and even our own jurisdiction in Palestine. Those people must not be left with their crimes, must not escape with their crimes. They must be, punished by the international community for their crimes committed. For us as Palestinians, we are ready to live with our Jewish Palestinian nationals who used to live with us before the occupation. This is my my private view, my point of view, but I don't know about, the official view of the factions and other related organizations. Your question must be directed to them.
Yes, exactly, of course. No, this is a private conversation. This is just just you as the spokesperson of the Great Return March. And so far, you are a political person. You are not completely private, but you are not a party politician. You don't belong to any organization. Just like this. So that is a good situation, in fact, to talk freely. Yeah, that is helpful.
Thank you.
Dear Professor Amer, you correctly described the situation. You correctly described the problems of a settler colonization in Palestine, and how you are sure that, of course, there must be a complete change of the situation in order to get the political situation straight. The question comes now from the side of political marketing.
Yes.
How to convince people who have been disinformed in the past that the Palestinians are far better than the Zionist propaganda has put them in the last 70 years, and that in fact the Zionists are lying when they tell the people that they are being threatened by Palestinians, as the facts are completely 180 degrees around. The Zionists are threatening the Palestinians every day, and it is not remaining with threats. It's sitting with killing and obstruction in any kind. So in this crazy situation, would the political marketing of the Palestinian ideas and the ideas of justice and the ideas of freedom of Palestine, would that be easier communicated to disinformed people with this kind of early, crazy early guarantee of security and legal equality to the Jews?
I think, yes. Just for this question, it's a very good question. And as I told you previously, that we Palestinians are innocent people, we are educated people, we are civilized, we don't treat others with the same situation, with the same acts they did against us. For the Jews, they commit, for the Zionist Jews, the Zionist occupiers, they commit several atrocities, several massacres, killings and murders against the Palestinian people. We lost now we lost most of our Palestinian youth who were just shot and got murdered in Gaza, the West Bank, and the other areas of Palestine. We have hundreds of thousands of people who were shot dead by the Israeli criminals during the several wars they just directed or they launched against us using their sophisticated weapons, like which were imported to them by the American, government or the American governments. So We suffered a lot from their occupation. We are looking for the day once we get rid of this occupation and see ourselves liberated and have our country restored once again. In this case, we will not deal with the Jews as they did with us. We will tolerate all people who just, lived with us before 1948 ethnic cleansing war. I mean the Palestinian Jews who lived with us. But those settlers who came from different areas of the world to occupy our country deliberately without having any right for them to step on this land. Those people, I don't think they will be tolerated. We will not go to kill them, but we will use our right to let them come back to their home countries they came to us from. But we don't retaliate. We will never retaliate for this reasons. But for the war criminals who committed, we speak about leaders who committed wars against us and massacres and holocausts against Palestinians, those people must be trialed by the international community, represented in the International Criminal Court. Their doom must be bound to this court to do whatever it likes to do with those occupiers who committed crimes completely like what it did with Milosevic in Bosnia-Herzegovina crimes. So we will never, I repeat once again, we will never treat with Israelis using the same policy they do with us now a moment. We will never do that.
Yeah, that was a clear answer. And to the other side, if we look to this marketing situation, if we want to explain this to Western countries, do you think that a guarantee from the Palestinian side will make it easier for Western people to believe, even if they are disinformed, basically?
I think the European countries must, look to the Palestinians as victims and to the Israelis as victimizers. They must stop, or they should stop their support to this occupying country, to this occupying entity, and to support the innocent people, those people who are occupied for about 70 years. It's time to say enough for the Israelis and enough for the Israeli crimes. So the European and the Western country, the people, the European people and the Western people must wake up and must stop being deceived by the Israeli fabrications. We are not killers, we are victims, and we will never be killers.
Thank you very much, Professor Amer. Thank you very much for your time, for your effort, and all the best. I'm now already looking forward to our next talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.